everyone. Happy Friday. Good to see you. So day 4, we're going to continue sort of building the framework of our posture and framing it continuously as art. And so what we're going to work on today is the particular mudra that we're going to commit to from this point on. That mudra is called Bhoomisparsha Mudra. It's one of the 5 main mudras of Buddhism. And so, quick story on this mudra. The Buddha's enlightenment, he sits underneath the Bodhi tree and he makes a strong commitment, a sankalpa to himself, that he will sit underneath this tree until he discovers for himself the secret and the solution to human suffering, because he was shielded from suffering as a child all the way into a young adult, discovered suffering through the encounters with sickness, old age, and death, and in that trauma was magnetized towards it, provoked by it, and built a very powerful and unique relationship to suffering itself, eventually aiming to cure it or to resolve it. And so he makes this commitment. He sits underneath the tree, and then the legend is, I sort of spoke to it a couple days ago, the god of fear, the demon of fear, Mara, approaches Buddha just before his enlightenment and presents his daughters to seduce him, to pull him out of his ambition. And Buddha isn't swayed by the seduction. And then Mara presents Buddha with his army of demons to incite fear and terror in the Buddha for the same goal, to sort of guide Buddha away from his enlightenment. Buddha, unmoved, undisturbed, unbothered by these assaults, Mara, sort of in his trickery, attempts to sway Buddha out of his enlightenment by suggesting that there is no proof, even if Buddha attains enlightenment, that he achieved this goal. And so Mara asks, who will be your witness? My army of demons, my daughters, they are witness to my power, to my enlightenment. Buddha and Mara have a little conversation about that. If you're curious about that, you can open up and read the story. But Mara flips the script. Who will witness your moment of nirvana, Buddha? And in that moment, Buddha puts his right hand on the earth and says, the earth will be my witness. And this is sort of the small story behind this mudra. Bhoomisparsha means the earth witness mudra. And so we're going to use this because there's a lot of beautiful symbolism in the imagery, and it's a particularly enchanting shape. The right hand is resting on the knee, all fingers are touching the earth witness, and then the left hand is cupped something like an empty bowl and resting on the lap. So before we get into the details of that and really work to feel the meaning behind the limbs in this posture or in this mudra, let's just go back to yesterday's session. Everything is physical. Every thought you're having right now, if you want to take a second to sort of look into your thought process and see how you're responding to this moment, the quality of peace in your mind, the level of confusion in your mind. Are you patient or impatient? Is your breath deep? Is your breath stifled? Is your breath fast? So all of this, the inner nature of the human individual is rooted in physiology. Even our identity, even our memories, it can be traced in the footprints of our neurons. And so the big idea with the West and the modern mind and the materialistic viewpoint is that everything is physical. There is nothing intangible in the world, in the universe. Even in space, there is nothing but substance, atoms with mass interacting with other atoms of mass. And so the idea of the intangible, the truly intangible, is essentially just a figment of the human mind, a mechanism to counterbalance, because we see the world dualistically, to counterbalance the reality that everything is matter. But to the Buddhists and the mystics and the yogis, there is one truly intangible experience, and it is familiar to all things, and that is consciousness. The yogis believe that consciousness is pervasive in all expressions of material form. So my computer has a level of consciousness in it. Every atom has consciousness in it. Certainly animals have consciousness, and for that reason, Hinduism and Buddhism and yogis and Jainism in particular tend to lean into vegetarianism, because they honor the consciousness inside these living organisms. But that consciousness is the truly intangible thing. And when we slow down our breaths, and when we assume these postures, and when we practice, our aim is to build a deeper relationship with that consciousness. That is the great goal. And so working with a slow breath, breathing into the belly, breathing into the chest, but avoiding the upper collarbone to provoke a physical peace will enable us or support us in pursuing this intangible dimension of ourselves. And that's the great meaning. And so we'll work with that because that's what we did yesterday. And we're playing with this concept of the physical and playing with this idea of the immaterial. Now, the bigger idea here is, what is the purpose of all of this? It's really helpful to appreciate that, the reason you signed up for this 31-day challenge, which is not an easy task, just like Buddha's Sankalpa to resolve the mystery of human suffering, this 31-day challenge is a commitment. It takes your time, it takes your energy, and it suggests that you're curious of something and you might not even really know in detail what that something is, but simply stated, just consider that you seek new meaning. That when you look out into your routines, when you consider yourself, when you think about your past and you think about your future and your profession and your hobbies and your social groups, all of that material experience, it lacks a certain something. And that something is the heart of this pursuit. That something to the yogis would be soul. What you seek is soul. What you seek is Atman. What you seek is the intangible experience. And so when you're chanting the Om, which is, in a practical sense, an arbitrary sound that you're using to catalyze a meaningful experience, when you're chanting that Om, the reality is your mind is teeter-tottering between doubtfulness and impatience and moments of pleasantness and moments of peace and moments of presence. And there's this back and forth. That back and forth is the lived experience of Buddha's legend. That back and forth is your conversation between the Buddha within you, your sense or experience of inner wisdom, and Mara, the enticement of doubt, the enticement of fear, the enticement of anger, the enticement of attachments or expectations. And so this is the reality of our experience. And I just want you to know, in those moments of tranquility, when all of a sudden you feel connected, you feel like the Om somehow is working on your behalf, consider that what's really going on in terms of the space or the dimensions of your practice is you are leaning deeper and deeper into the intangible. You are actually approaching Atman. You are approaching soul. And for that reason, sitting down in your room, this morning, every morning for this month, chanting this arbitrary sound is becoming something significant. That arbitrary syllable is giving you what you can't find in real people, in financial success, or the challenge of a career, or the challenge of a relationship, or a delicious meal, or a beautiful sunrise. This arbitrary little symbol, this arbitrary little sound is feeding that sort of insatiable need. And again, why? Because the practice in itself, which involves all of these thoughts that we spend a lot of time discussing at the beginning of our meetings, all of these thoughts inform us that I am creating that space within myself. I am generating Atman, and through my willingness to be still and internalize and chant and feel my body, I'm actually sort of connecting to it. Cool, so think about that, today during your practice. Let's get into our work. So just to sort of break it out, we're going to start with our traditional posture, wrists on knees, nice straight arms. In the beginning of every session, we have to present ourselves to our practice as if it were conscious. And so in that, we'll do these slow belly breaths to breathe into the lower lobes of the lungs. Random fingers to each thumb, our little mudras. And in that, you're going to provoke a physical peace, right? An actual tranquility within your nervous system, which will affect your mind. And so we'll spend about 5 minutes here. And then you'll bring your hands to heart center. If peace arises, if peace does not arise, if you're still stressed or doubtful, you're being enticed by the experience of Mara within your own mind, the experience of fear within your own mind, then keep your wrists on your knees and take the loss. I did not touch peace today. But eventually, after 5 minutes, we will shift our posture. You'll bring your left hand in the shape of an empty bowl onto your lap, and your right hand will rest on your knee, all 5 fingers comfortably touching the floor, for Bhoomisparsha Mudra, the Earth Witness Mudra. And from there, we will chant Om. Okay, everyone. First position, wrists on knees, straight arms. random finger to each thumb, tall spine. And immediately curate the breath. Breathe into your stomach, eyes are closed. Swell into the lower half of the rib cage, but avoid the upper chest, avoid the collarbone. As you exhale, exhale patiently and enjoy the feeling of weight and tranquility. But as the body and the muscles grow heavy, lengthen the spine. And so we're approaching this very practically. Your state of mind is the consequence of your body's constitutions. Your state of mind and your emotional condition is the consequence of how active or inactive your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system are. By breathing in this way, you will activate the parasympathetic and trigger physiological peace. When that peace arises, hands to heart center, acknowledge it, and then bring your wrists back to your knees. And so the metaphor of the Buddha's legend is reincarnating in this moment as your practice. And to choose tranquility over impatience, to choose openness instead of clinging or aversion. That is the symbolism behind the Buddha's identity. What we find is often we are untrained in how to remain equanimous. We don't know how to stay open. We fail to override our instincts. Breathing into the stomach, slowing down the breath, and feeling the body. This is that training. When peace does arise, if it does arise, be happy, be proud. You have taken control of the organism and beautified your reality. So we practice to recover a new sense of meaning. We practice to seek a higher purpose, and that purpose is the personal discovery of the truly intangible, that which is boundless within the material world. It has many names: Atman, Purusha, Shunya, Jiv. To experience it, nirvana, samadhi, moksha, enlightenment, liberation, the discovery of the intangible. When we consider our practice art, art is the bridge between the transcendent and the perceivable. It empowers our approach. And so consider the shape of your body art. Everyone take your left hand, close the fingers, and make your hand something like the shape of an empty bowl. Rest your left hand on your lap, right in front of the hips, resting on the legs. This hand represents prajna, wisdom, the wisdom of emptiness, the wisdom of reaching for the intangible, the wisdom of consciousness, the wisdom of Atman and soul. Right hand, wrist rests on knees, the arm is straight, but redirect your fingers to the floor and lay your fingers on the floor. Keep the spine tall and feel the earth. Feel your rug, feel your tiles, feel your carpet. This hand represents upaya, steadfastness. The word itself means remedy and trick. The earth was Buddha's witness to his moment of understanding. The earth is our witness, as conscious, as enlivened, that within every bit of rock and soil and grass, there is awareness, there is the intangible. Between your left hand and right hand, you cover the entire spectrum. Spirit and matter, consciousness and form, Purusha Prakriti. From here, let's chant the Om. Take a deep, steady breath in. With an exhale, start your practice. The underlying message of this mantra is inclusivity. Everything is contained within the Om. The Om is there before the beginning. The Om is there after the end. It includes the mind. It includes the earth. It includes the Buddha. It includes Mara. And when you chant it, you proclaim your allegiance to totality, to the whole experience. Once we can embrace our impatience, our doubt, our unmet expectations within the living moment, right now, all of a sudden, peace flowers. All of a sudden, we understand we were what was stopping the beauty of the moment from penetrating. And in a flash, we become conscious of what yogis identified as Atman. Now, technically, just focus on the vibratory experience of your body, the hum of your singing, as it echoes through the particular shape of this mudra. Don't worry about your arms. Just feel the vibration and enjoy its subtle pleasure. Chant one more Om, a bit softer. This tends to increase the experience in the body. And try to drag the Om out for as long as you can. At this point, externalize your mind. Chanting the Om helped you focus on what's going on in your body. It helped you internalize, which is the direction of meditation. Now listen to the world around you. Externalize. And appreciate its existence, its raw reality. Feel your fingertips touching the floor, touching this raw reality. And feel the left hand holding nothingness, reminding you of an inner intangibility, the consciousness that beholds the world. Slow breaths, tranquilizing breaths come back to the body. Sincerely consider your existence. And now attempt to feel existence itself. Include the past, include the future. Include the internal, include the external. Feel how vast it is. Include the material, include the intangible. Again, as expressed through your mudra. Bhoomisparsha. And so the lesson within this fable of the earth being the Buddha's witness is that everything of the earth, everything that stands upon the earth is witness to your growth, is a reflection of your personal advancement. Everything beholds you. And the yogis very optimistically believe there is only growth. Everything is audience to your evolution. So bring your hands to heart center, lengthen your spine, soften your face. Feel the body, slow down the breath. Listen to your environment. Identify it as the earth, identify it as the witness. Adding to our closing ritual, thumb knuckles to third eye center. Keep your hands as they are, just lift your thumbs to the center of your forehead. Press your thumbs delicately into the skin of your forehead and focus on that point of sensation. This is technique. Back to the first session. More important than the Om is your capacity to focus. Feel this little point of sensation and nothing else for 3, 2, 1. With an exhale, mindfully release your wrists back to your knees, random fingers to thumbs. Our first posture. We all seek new meaning. Consider that is why you're participating with this challenge, not to replace what is already meaningful, but to add meaning to our experience. When you open your eyes, look into the material experience of your moment. Look into your walls, look into your screens, look into your body, and consider within each speck of that matter, there is consciousness, there is soul, imperceivable, but with shraddha, with faith. The hope is one day it can be recognized. So with an inhale, open your eyes. Attempt to see the world looking back at you.